It's really a humbling experience to be invited here to be asked here to judge below her. Certainly do that, but at the same time, you can't argue with that because she's one of the few Gilts in here that really can drop that rear leg and just really flex and go. Well, here in our second class of
Attention for Denise Slaller from Fredericksburg, FFA. We need your CTBR paperwork, the certificate, at the ring ASAP. Denise Slaller, Fredericksburg, FFA. At this time, we are releasing the Gilts from the auxiliary show ring. If you would, everybody there around the ring and in the back, give these kiddos a nice round of applause. Just a couple of reminders in the barn, and not to beat a dead horse, but make sure that we bring our text
a little bit, but that's being really critical of a really nice Berkshire. Went to lead off the class. Reading ability, the right board set on this female, it could get real fun. This gilt here just doesn't have enough to her. She's a real extended feminine female. Good balance. She doesn't have enough underneath in terms of just stoutness of features and with the base. But really nice, consistent class. Congratulations, all these exhibitors.
out of Bangs. In 10th place, Hannah Garvin of Ballinger, gilt bred by Bucks Kemper Show Pigs, also of Ballinger. In 9th place, Paisley Warren, Crawford FFA, gilt bred by Russell Canese of Fredericksburg. In 8th place, Logan Meyer, Godley FFA, that gilt bred by Scott Jeffries, LSG Show Pigs of Lubbock. 7th place goes to Mallory Burton of Valley Mills FFA, gilt bred by Brian Bennett, Stephenville. In 6th place, James Jensky, Fredericksburg FFA, that gilt bred by Greg Bates, Harper. In 5th place, Hagen Garvin of Ballinger, gilt bred by Bucks Kemper Show Pigs. In 4th place, Carly Hank, Blanco County FFA, gilt bred by Fishbacher Show Pigs of Wildorado. In 3rd place, we have Emma Braden of Wall FFA, gilt bred by Fishbacher Show Pigs of Wildorado. In 2nd place, we have Mason Heiler of Godley FFA. And your class-winning gilt, driven by Emma Schlatter of Fredericksburg FFA.
Muscle, big old powerful blade energy, the stout all the way through the shoulder. Here's one that has just that ultra comfortable look in terms of how his mechanism is. The fact that she drops that tail, keeps her hind leg under her just ever so slightly. I don't think that's a bad deal because she still has exceptional range in her hind leg. She just doesn't do it quite as smooth as our second place individual. I like this broody Berkshire female real well. This gilt here, you got to study her to find her hole. She's not real comfortable in that pastern set in the rear leg structure, but of the top four, she's really got a big old back in her. She's really opened up through her front end, her chest plate, and her power up front, and down her back is really exceptional. She just needs to have a better rear leg, better rear toe on her, and that'd make her function a little bit better. This big old powerful female coming in has a lot of Berkshire characteristics. Really stout featured, really stout skulled. I love her underline. This gilt's got a big old brown barrel rib to her. This gilt's pin set and power and rear hock dimension, rear leg dimension, really, really stout. Of the top end, she's just not quite as neat looking, but this is a really good Berkshire female that doesn't have a
4H. At this time, we've got our first place gilts driving for
difficult in some.
Until the sale list has been posted at the conclusion. We've got our gilts headed out of the auxiliary ring. If you would, put your hands together for those exhibitors on their way out. Also, as we get those gilts cleared, we remind everybody to make some room there in the alleyway coming out the back, and as those gilts are coming up to the ring, because at this time we'd like to call Class 2 Chester Gilts. Class 2 Chester Gilts come up to the holding ring.
Folks, if I could have your attention for just a minute. Youngsters that are selected to go in the sale on Tuesday night, those will be posted, those sale lot or the gilts that are going to be in the sale. We're going to try to post those as soon after the breed is shown that are going to be sold out of the classes. For example, we're working on getting the Attention, I need to speak with a parent, teacher, or agent of Luke Rogers. Luke's showing his pig right now. Please come over here to the announcer stand. If you're related to Luke Rogers, please come over. As I was saying earlier, we're going to try to post sale gilts following the breed or shortly thereafter. If your gilt is in the sale, it's mandatory that she stays here and sells. If you're not in the sale and you're showing tomorrow, you need to stick around. But if you're not showing tomorrow, you can go home. You'll need to get a release. But do not leave. Do not leave here until you're certain that your gilt's not in the sale. So if you got a ribbon on your gilt, make sure you check that. If you have a non-ribbon gilt, you don't have to worry about it. All ribbon gilts need to check the listing. It's not there now. We're working our best to try to get this plan set up to get these things posted as quick as possible. Thank you.
Words when somebody says this is a really good Duroc, but especially good for his hind leg. I love the red breed. When people say for a Duroc, hind legs are good for a Duroc, I take I get fired up. So my charge to you, as a Chester breeder, let's get these hind legs right. Young man's got the class winner over there. If we study this gilt, I'll be the first to tell you she's a little bit more common up through her front end. She's a little thick through the pole of her neck, and I like to make that a little bit, make her a more feminine female. It's kind of hard to read her and judge her for true length of body, length of front end, because she actually is pretty long-necked. long neck like a female should be. Her hip structure and her length of hip is awesome. We just like to clean her up through her front end. That would appease some of the people around ringside that think barrels need to have a slick, neat front end. I'm not one of those guys. I like the stoutness of features, the boldness up through her front end, the forearm, the big back, the old big round rib that she offers. This Gilt is really a real complete individual. You get past her neck set and how she hangs her head just kind of calm in there. This is a really good Chester female. The Gilt here in the second hole, I'll be honest with you, I didn't want to have her as high. Her hocks bother me. She's a little coarser about her hocks. She's a little thicker jointed. Typically, these hogs can't stride when they get this way, but she's a big bone female that's stout featured. I get onto her because she's a little bit shallower rib, doesn't have that depth of heart, that big old round turn to her forerib that I like. Her flank's a little more drawn up, but this Gilt looks like a show hog. She's extended up through her front end, and even though I'm critical of her hind leg structure, she still has a long stride. She gets out and really moves up through her front end. Her front end's exceptional. She's tied in to that shoulder and neck region extremely well. I just like to drop a bigger center in her and clean those rear hocks on her, and then I think she's more competitive. Young man's Gilt coming out third. Here's one that I thought maybe we could tie to when she came through the pins back here. I love the fact that she looks like her class winner in terms of being square at the ground, big-bodied, robust, beastly kind of a female. I've got to get on to her a little bit. She's not as natural in her head carriage. Young man does a good job of bringing that head up so that she's more acceptable, but we can see that she's a little down on her pastern. And I'm not one of those guys that's going to single trade every down pasturing hog I ever see. That's not accurate. This Gilt still functions. She's still fluent out of her front end. Even though I'd like to pick her pasturing strength up just a notch, I still think she's a big, powerful female that's got a really good hip in her. I'd like to see her a little bit more elegant in the side view profile, raise that front end on her, make her balance a little bit better. This is the balanced female of the class. She's really a tall-shouldered, feminine, really good-looking female. Got that length of body, the length of stride. Her joints and angles are set in are awesome. She needs to have more chest. Of the top end, she can't run with these top end females. She doesn't have enough dimension. But man, it'd be fun to have her in a breeding herd, get her mated to the right board. Could be pretty cool. This Gilt's the other one in class that struck me as one that really had a lot of squareness at the ground while maintaining that squareness into her upper skeleton. She's really got a big square back in her. Love the hip structure up through her hind out that she has. She is short-strided, and I think her hind legs are right. I just don't think that she's just kind of tender-footed or what she got going up through her front end that's not allowing her to take a long stride. But that's a really good balanced-up female. This is the one I thought maybe we could place higher in the class, but she's too frail-featured. She doesn't run with the top end. Good job. Nice class.
Results out of Class 1. In 11th place, Wyatt Mobley, Kendall County 4-H. Gilt, bred by Kirby Canal. Julie Hoffman of Van Court. 9th place, shown by Stetson Lewis of Hale County 4-H. Gilt, bred by Chad and Misty Hill of Lubbock. 8th place, Avery Clarkson of Hale County 4-H. That Gilt comes from Horsford Showpig, Stratford. 7th place, Zach Wizoon of Wall FFA. Homegrown on that one, the Wizoon of San Angelo. 6th place, exhibited by Tyler Beard of Albany FFA. Gilt, bred by Horsford Showpigs in Stratford. 5th place, Kinley Harrington, Eastland FFA. Gilt, bred by Pyron Farms of Tuscola. It's Carl, Ray, and Micah Pyron. 4th place, Callie Childress, Dalhart FFA. Gilt, bred by Horsford Showpigs, Stratford. In 3rd place, Gilt, exhibited by Luke Rogers of Poth FFA. That Gilt comes to us from Kirby Canop in Fredericksburg. Your top two. In 2nd place, that Gilt exhibited by Sterling Skinner of Hale County 4-H. And your class winner, driven by Preston Ralston of Dallam Hartley County 4-H. If you would put your hands together for those exhibitors and those that are in the back of the auxiliary ring as well. We'll need our Class 3 Chester Gilts to be making their way up to the holding ring.
Folks, let me have your attention right quick. We have the sale order Berks, or excuse me, not the sale order, but the gilts from the Berkshire Division breed that are going to be in the sale. They're posted on the wall right behind the announcer stand in between the big garage door and the door to the auctioneer stand. It says Berkshire or Berks sale list. The gilts on this list will be in the sale. The gilts on this list cannot leave this barn, and it is mandatory that they go to the sale. Tomorrow, after the show is concluded, we're going to give some instructions to exhibitors and parents that have these gilts that are eligible for this, or that are going to be in the sale. So you stick around, don't go anywhere. You're through showing those Berkshire gilts, but you take good care of them now. If you're showing them tomorrow, you're going to have to keep good.
The one, the kind that may have a really long growth curve in her, and I like that about her. She's got a great look, a great extension up front, really super.
Brazos County 4-H. That gilt comes from Burger Farms of Giddings. Sixth place, Nat Duroc Gilts. From last year's sale, previous years, we've got banner hangers, so breeders and youth that are involved with the program, but also our sponsors. And you look at the banners that are above the ring, you'll see the list of sponsors that we have for both the gilt and the barrows.
coming out. I'd like to use her a little bit higher because she's really sound. She's really flexible. I like the female qualities that she has. Great.
Show Pigs of Sisterdale. In third place, Faith.
But at the same time, this gilt is really a robust. This gilt was structure. This gilt's massive and powerful. I don't think she's as collected or as correct off her rear leg structure.
In second place, Gilt was exhibited by Taylor Lease of Abernathy FFA. And your class-winning Gilt, Jillian Jones of Lipscomb County 4-H. Again, we need our Class 5 Duroc Gilts to the holding ring. Class 5 Duroc Gilts to the holding ring. As we have Class 4 exit the auxiliary ring, I would ask that everybody put their hands together for these exhibitors. This time we'll excuse the Gilts here from the main ring. If you would, let's give them a round of applause.
just listen to what I have to say. You're fine. You can't show her anyway. Just let her go. Listen to me. You've got an extremely good hog. And I get challenged. I speak my mind, but we got to do our homework at home because you've got an exceptional female out here, and you need to get her under control. All right? So that's your challenge for next year. You obviously know how to buy a good one. Let's go out and make sure that you show her off to the best of your ability. She's an incredible female, stout-structured, muscular, wide-based. I mean, this gilt's really true and genuine in her overall base width. I love the fact that she's a muscular female, along with the fact that she's really heavy-legged. In this breed, that's really difficult to do because those hogs, sometimes those Durocs, y'all can talk a little bit later. For right now, listen to what I got to say about this gilt. This gilt is extremely stout-legged and muscular, and it doesn't come in that kind of package very often. And no, she's not up-headed and slick-headed because she doesn't have much help there, but she's an attractive female in her own right. I love the fact that she's a female that's got some pie.
There's a lot of help to make these things work as at this time, we're going to excuse the gilts here in the main ring. Let's put our hands together for these youngsters. We need Class 6, our final class of Duroc gilts, to the holding ring. And if we would, again, ask those in the aisleway there in the back, if we could please try and clear just a little bit as those gilts are trying to make their way up, and those that are leaving from the back to kind of clear some room and make sure we can help those exhibitors find their way all right.
It's got the extra volume and mass. This
Exhibitors is at the main ring.
more collapsed about her front end, and her front mechanism just doesn't flow to.
R4 Genetics, Burke and Cammie Robbins.
We've got a really good set of class winners out here in this Duroc show. I'm really impressed with this set of gilts. And the way they can form and function, and just really has a lot of agility, yet they have the power and the mass that this breed is known for.
Hampshire Gilts, Class 1, Hampshire Gilts to the holding ring.
We think it's a little bit closer here for reserve. We can do some different things, but there's some gilts out here that got great look to them. There's some that have a little more power and a little more dimension. There's some that's get just big old beastly thing like the gilt that just came out of the last class. It's unfortunate she had to drive a little longer, but overall I don't know that this gilt's got quite as much skeleton there. The other one that we want to tie to that's really comfortable in her feet and legs, has an excellent female look to her, great extension, hip and hind leg is killer. Young lady on the far side, she's a reserve champion.
Your reserve champion Duroc Gilt, exhibited by Jillian Jones of Lipscomb County 4-H, also bred by Jillian Jones. Such a deep Duroc show. We definitely have to mention those that were in contention in the breeding behind those gilts. Out of Class 1, driven by Jarrett Foote. That gilt was bred by Foote Farms of Seminole. The second place out of Class 1, driven by Courtney Williams, bred by LC Genetics, Levi Canales of Amarillo. Out of Class 2, your class-winning gilt, driven by Corbin McCullough, was bred by Robbie and Keith Harkey of Hale Center. Second place gilt in that class, by Courtney Williams, was bred by Levi Canales. Your second place to the reserve champion gilt there out of Class 3, which was driven by Taylor Lease, was bred by Wayne and Leslie Harmon of Perryton. Your Class 4, Tyler Crotty drove your class-winning gilt. That gilt was bred by Delton Osborne of Justisburg. The second place gilt coming out of Class 4, exhibited by Henley Wagner, bred by, again, Wayne and Leslie Harmon of Perryton. Out of that tough Class 5, your second place gilt behind the champion was exhibited by Kelton Jordan, and that one was bred by Shankin Genetics of Llano. In Class 6, Michael Clark was the exhibitor. The breeder behind that one, Cornerstone Ventures of Dalhart. And your second place gilt, driven by Claire Roan. The breeder behind that one, Scott Heffernan of Poteet. At this time, we're starting to sift through our Hampshire gilts. We need all Class 1 Hampshire gilts to the holding ring.
At this time, we would like to recognize our crossbred buckle sponsors. Delms Prevailing Genetics from New Braunfels. For over 35 years, Delms Prevailing Genetics has been a leading source for consistent, predictable genetics that yield champion results throughout the United States, producing 30 Grand or Reserve Grand Champion barrows at Texas Majors. Downs Prevailing Genetics have pigs available all year round for most county shows and majors in the country. So existing and potential customers are welcome to come to the farm, visit with Rory, and pick out their next champion at any time. As a sponsor of 2 awards, TPPA greatly appreciates Downs Prevailing Genetics for sponsoring both the Champion Crossbred, Barrow, and Gilt buckles. McCleary Family Durocs from Poolsville. The McCleary family has a passion for the Duroc breed, and that passion is visible by the number and quality of Duroc show pigs they produce, which is seen on all levels. In addition to serving on the TPPA Board of Directors, Cody is on the National Swine Registry Executive Committee and the Duroc Board of Directors. Although Durocs are the family's specialty, they also offer a few crossbred litters as well as offering semen on their select set of boars. We thank the McCleary family for sponsoring the Reserve Champion Crossbred Gilt buckle.
We need Class 2 Hampshire Gilts to the holding ring. This time we need our Class 2 Hampshire Gilts to the holding ring.
Okay, well, I just stopped. Man, I better come find out.
outside herself from behind. Really nice set of landrace females here. The young man is going to win the class. I think she was going to win the whole entire time. And this is a really nice landrace females. She looks like she's supposed to, the broody female that's got that extra power and extra width to her. She's just really a nice female that's balanced up. She's long and she's extended, got a really good hip and hind leg. I love the fact that she has a great deep turn to her rib. I think a really nice female to start off the class. Our second place females here to my right. Young lady's got a really nice extended female up through her front end. I love that about her. She's really long strided and has a great knee set to her. This gilt doesn't stride and flex off her rear too quite as fluid as I'd like to see her. She's a little bit lower at the point of her shoulder, but this is a real stout, real good landrace female here in second hole. From third, we've got a really long-bodied, nice profiling female coming out next. Love the balance and eye appeal that this female has. I don't think she's quite as stout at the ground. She's not as big in her muzzle and as stout features as what we have in our second place female. Just like to fix her hind leg and make her flex a little bit more true off that rear hock, but she's a nice extended female up front. From there, we've got a really nice stout female gilt coming next. It's really bold and powerful about her blade. Got a big back and a lot of stoutness in this gilt. I'd like to see her just a little bit more flexible off those hind two, lengthen that hip structure and make her more correct there, and I think that would help that out as well. Gilt coming out next has really got a big square back in her. Love the rib shape. Love the power up through her front end. I just like to see her flex a little bit more securely at her rear pastern. Rear hock set needs to be a little bit better, but I think this gilt needs to more length of hip, and I think she'd function just a little bit better there. The two gilts on the final end of the class here, really powerful females. Got a lot of rib shape to them, a lot of body mass. Unfortunately, both these gilts are a little bit rounder in their muscle makeup. I'd like to extend them and make them more landrace appearing in terms of that longer muscle group. This is a good class.
Results out of Class 2 Landrace Gilts. In 7th place, Alexis Hilton from Burke Burnett FFA, gilt bred by Young Livestock, Dan Young and Burke Burnett. In 6th place, Coda Daniel, Petersburg FFA. Breeder behind that one, MVB Genetics, Jason Miller of Sunray. In 5th place, Kaylee Musgrove, Marion FFA. Breeder on that one, Scott Heffernan of Poteet. In 4th place, Carly Metcalf, Stratford FFA. Bred by MVB Genetics, Jason Miller of Sunray. In 3rd place, Brista Case of Bangs FFA. Breeder on that one is Centerfit Farms of Lomita, Mason, and Holly Hines. Out here driving our 2nd place gilt, shown by Jalen Miller. And our class-winning gilt, driven by Tyler Miller of Sunray FFA. We need all Class 1 Poland gilts to the holding ring. Class 1 gilts. Rock and Hamp breed been selected and posted on the wall back here behind the announcer stand. So please go over and check that out. If you're on there, those gilts need to stay until Tuesday evening. All pedigreed gilts that are not Again, as these breeds finish up, we're getting efficient in posting the sale gilts on the wall back behind the announcer stand. So please do take a look at those. We need Class 2 Poland gilts to the holding ring.
Let's give a hand to the ones that are out in the ring, please, as they're being excused.
This is a real fun way to start out our Poland show over here. It's a nice class all the way down through 6-7. This is a really nice, high-quality class. That being said, this Gilt wins the class. I don't think you can beat her. I just think she's so fundamentally right. Like I say, she's square at the ground. She's true. She's true when she comes and goes. She's really good looking. She's got plenty of rib for her age, plenty of muscularity, her balance. I think this is a really nice Poland female. Young man, second place Gilt is a little stouter featured. She's got a little more skull, a little more back shape than her class winner. But I don't think she's nearly as attractive on the side view profile. It doesn't have that natural height to shoulder that we find in our class winner, but I like the fact that this Gilt is really stout, really muscular, and yet she can still handle her skeleton extremely well. I think that's a tremendous female to be there in second hole. Third place is one of the stouter females of the drive. Got a lot of muscle shape working down her back. She's a very thick-ended Gilt at the same time. I love the stoutness of feature that she offers. She tends to run downhill just a little bit for me, and I like to see her a little bit cleaner about that rear hawk, but this is a really nice female to land here in third hole. I think this is a very, very powerful Gilt class. This Gilt coming out next is really tall-shouldered. She's extremely balanced from the side view profile. Love her height to shoulder, love her extension up front. I'd like to change this Gilt out through her hip and her hind leg. She tends to be a little shorter, and underneath herself just a little bit from behind, but that's a really nice balanced Poland female to land here in fourth hole. I like this Gilt extremely well for the balance and eye appeal she offers. Really extended up through her front end. Of the top end, she's got an extremely good muscle shape working over her loin edge. I just like to drop that Gilt's center rib and give her to her, maybe like stouten her up a little bit in her hind leg structure, but that's a really good female. Here's a real comfortable made female that looks like a sow. Really deep middle, big-footed, heavy structured. Love the flexibility, the range of motion that this Gilt offers. I don't think she's quite as neat looking. I don't think she balances up as quite as well as some of that we have placed above her. And these two little Gilts coming out next, I mean, up front. No, she's not the mother. Consequently, I don't think she's nearly as attractive as some that we've got.
7 Cook of New Home FFA by Harmon Farm.
It's been a really good out here. I think this is an exceptional set that we got to work with through here. This is a really nice set, and I think there's some different ways you can do it. I don't know. Most of these Gilts are really consistent. There's might be a little differences of degree of muscularity, but all these Gilts are really sound and functional. The one that just has the extra look and balance and eye appeal, she just got that structure to her. She's sound. She's square. The Gilt from the first class is going to be your champion. As we compare our second place winner to our other class winner, we find this Gilt to be a little bit more compact in her frame size. We certainly like the big broodiness and the overall rib and body and soundness and functional of the big Gilt. She's going to be your reserve champion. Good job.
Outstanding Poland drive, our champion Gilt, exhibited by Kendall Lyle of Paradise FFA. Breeder on that one, Michael Dubois of Troy. The reserve champion Gilt, driven by Cameron Collard of Paint Rock FFA. Breeder Wayne and Leslie Harmon, Harmon Farms of Perryton. The Gilts that stand just behind them, your second place out of Class 1, a mate to the champion, shown by Cody Holloway of Paradise FFA, breeder Michael Dubois, Troy. And your second place to your reserve champion, driven by Kelly Koenig of Florence FFA, a breeder on that one, Corey Rains, Rains Livestock out of Roscoe. – As we excuse our gilts from the auxiliary ring, if we would put our hands together for those exhibitors. And at this time, we're going to call Class 2 spot gilts to the holding ring. Class 2 spot gilts to the ring.
Folks, as these young people in our center ring, big ring here, leave, let's give them a big round of applause. Good group of kids. Good luck to you.
there's probably as much variation in the top end of this class as we've seen throughout the day, and it's really a challenging four. You got lots of different priorities, lots of different things you can do. I chose to start with the Gilt over here that shows the most power and dimension of any of the females in terms of just coming at you really robust and massive up through her blade structure. She's really got a really intriguing hip and hind leg to her. She's really extremely level from her hip down out through her tail, but yet she's got a long range of motion out through her hock set. She maintains a really true gait off both ends of her skeleton. I just love the squareness that this gilt offers. I know she's given up some frame and some performance and probably some eye appeal to some of the gilts down the line, but this gilt just has that three-dimensional look while maintaining the squareness and power all at the same time. We can all see that this is a big, powerful female. The young lady is driving them in. Big legs, a lot of stoutness of features, really a heavy structured female from India, and she starts up there at her skull, carries all the way through her skeleton, got a really deep, big, round rib blade in her. I love a lot of things about this gilt. The thing that's kind of sorted her into second hole, she's starting to struggle a little bit. She's a little shorter strided female, and I think the biggest issue with her is she's so stout. I'd like to see her a little cleaner and a little bit more cleaner about her rear joint. I think there she could function with a better hip and hind leg than she does. The white gilt coming out next is really a neat looking female, especially up through her front end. She's got a great look to her, a lot of extension, a lot of high-headed look to her. Love the reach that she has out of her front end. She's a very muscular gilt that balances up extremely well. I like to see her with a little bit more security off her hind too. And of course, she's given up some performance to a couple of gilts that place above her. This gilt coming out in fourth hole is one that's a little bit hard to read. She's a really heavy structured, loose constructed female that's just sound and functional the way she moves. She steps down on a big old square fat toe in her. I just love the broodiness and the femininity that she offers. Just looks like a brood sow out there. I don't think she's as muscular, and I'd certainly like to make her more pulled apart, give her more center body mass as all the way through her center body, and then make her a more complete individual. This is a real thick-ended female that's stout structured. I love the rib shape that's offered in her. She's not as naturally high-headed or as neat looking on the profile. Really nice class of spotted gilts.
Out of our first class of spot gilts, in 10th place, we've got Cash Manhart from Gray County 4-H, that gilt bred by Mel Manhart of Pampa. In 9th place, Mary Spencer Rumley of Dalhart FFA. Breeder on that one is Ralston Hog Farm of Dalhart. 8th place goes to Madison Brookler from Oldham County 4-H, gilt bred by Fishbacher Show Pigs of Wildorado. 7th place, driven by Laston Connor of Wilburger County. On that one is Bonfian Klein of Vernon. In 6th place, Jackson Edwards, Eastland, Texas, FFA, gilt bred by Alexis Hofer of Justin. 5th place, driven by Kay Jenkins of Childress 4-H. Breeder on that one, Kevin Hal Hoggs of White Deer. In 4th place, Abby McWhorter of Coppers Cove FFA. Breeder on that one, West Texas Genetics, Clinton Julie Hoffman of Van Court. In 3rd place, Logan Webb, Ingram FFA. Breeder, Grant Meyer, Meyer Show Pigs of Harper. In 2nd place, we have Reagan Wagner of Hamilton FFA, and your class winner out of our youngest group goes to Caleb Ferguson of Sunray FFA. At this time, if we would, put our hands together for these exhibitors as we excuse them from the back auxiliary ring. Let's also make sure we kind of keep those alleys clear, give them a good path to get back to the pins. At this time, let's call Class 3 spot gilts to the ring. Class 3 spot gilts to the holding ring. One last round of applause for our exhibitors as we excuse from the main ring. Again, we need to make sure we have all Class 3 spot gilts up to the holding ring.
I think a more logical class here, and we've got a really nice gilt to start off with. I'll be the first to say I'd like to see her with her hind leg a little bit more secure. She wants to shuffle out of that rear leg structure just a little bit. But here's the power hog of the drive that's just really a massive female. She's big about her blade. She's got great extension of skeleton. She drops that spine and can really float and get out and hustle off that front end. Big, powerful female with lots of product in her. If we could just make her a little more comfortable off her rear too, we'd have one that's really, really nice. This young man's got a gilt here in second. Easily the most eye-appealing female. She's really comfortable about the way she strides across the ring. Very up-headed, very long-bodied, extremely agile in her mobility. I'd like to give this gilt, when she comes toward you, there ain't near enough to her to go ahead and get around the big, powerful female. But if we could bust that front end open, give her more powerful blade and forerib region, this gilt could really run because she's got that added look and extension. Love the side view profile on that female. Young man here, we kind of had to split those two powerful females in first and third. This gilt's not as secure off her hind leg as either, as well like a class winner, but I think she's a little bit more intensely, has a bigger issue there. She wants to be a little bit sickle hawk there and doesn't handle that rear leg structure like she needs to. But here's one that's got a big shapely back, really love her forearm and all the muscular power that this gilt offers. Really, another really good attractive female coming out next in terms of head carriage. This gilt gives up too much performance, rib shape, and structure to be placed any higher. The gilt coming out next is really a beastly made, kind of a stout structured spotted female. She struggles on both ends of her skeleton. We get her to move out with more mobility, more flexibility. She can move up the line because I like the fact that she's a big, robust female that looks like a spotted brute sow. I just wish she had a little bit more range of motion up through that front end. we get down the line, we get some variation, really nice class of spotted hogs.
Results out of Class 2 spot gilt. In 10th place, Rance Angley of Wheeler 4-H. That gilt bred by Walser Farms Hot Rod Genetics of Canadian. In 9th place, Ty Gerngross of Wall FFA, bred by Gerngross Livestock, San Angelo. In 8th place, we've got Colton Camburn of Gray County 4-H. Breeder on that gilt is Joe Couts of Pampa. 7th place goes to Braden Voigt of City View FFA. Gilt bred by Harmon Farms of Perryton. 6th place gilt, Aspen Miller of Briscoe County 4-H. Bred by Kevin Howell Hogs of White Deer. 5th place shown by Peyton Ralston of Dowlam Hartley County 4-H. Bred by Ralston Hog Farm of Dalhart. 4th place, Kendall Lyle of Paradise FFA. Breeder on that gilt, Lloyd Show Pigs of Troy. 3rd place goes to Hayden Cabello from Plainview FFA. Breeder, Moat Farms, Benny Moat, Tulia. And in 2nd place, we have Marty Wiseun of Wall FFA. And your class-winning gilt exhibited by Brock Edelman of Callisburg FFA. At this time, we'll release the gilts from the auxiliary ring. We would like to give those exhibitors a nice round of applause. This time we need to bring Class 4 spot gilts, Class 4 to the holding ring. Last call, we need all spot 4 gilts up to the holding ring. Last call for them. In regards to the sale, we do have the Poland's and Land Race sale gilts posted on the wall back behind the announcer stand. Again, if you are selected for the sale, those gilts are to stay. All others, before you leave, run by the office to get releases and your pedigrees.
Very good class of spotted gilts there. I don't think we can beat that class winner. She's pretty solid. Just really comfortable in her skeletal makeup, yet she's got stoutness of features. She's got good skeletal width. She has a really good, cool front end like a female should. Love the length of neck and extension that she offers. Just a really good female that's got the joints and angles all in the right spot. Very comfortable in her rib shape. I love the pliability and the turn to her lower rib cage. This is a really nice spotted female. Second place female is more massive. She comes to us with more muscle shape and more forearm than our class winner, but at the same time, she isn't quite as mobile out of either end of her skeleton. She wants to tie up because she's a little bit rounder in her muscle pattern, but there's a wide-based, square-built female that's got a lot of natural product working in her. The third place female is just one that's really solid and fault-free. She's a very muscular female that comes out with the wide chest, got a big square back in her, but just a gilt that just doesn't have the overall squareness out through her hind leg structure. I'd like to fix that hock set just a little bit, maybe give her a little bit more flex at the ground off her rear pasterns, but that's a really nice female to sit here in third hole. I thought this was the Sowie-looking female of the class. Love the brood sow potential that she offers. Really soft and pliable in that rib shape. Excellent reach and range of motion up through her front end. Here's the gilt that just needs to, she gets a little bit close at the bottom when she tracks away. I think she hits the surface a little bit close as she tracks away. I'd like to give her more stoutness of features, but there's a female that can go ahead and get in the fairway crate and do you a nice job. I like a lot of things about that female. Here's a real unique piece of the class in my mind. This is really a stout-featured, heavy-legged female that is big in her kind. She's extended. I just don't know if she's got enough center rib shape. She's a lot flatter ribbed and narrower gauge than some of the females placed above her. But if you're looking for a breeding piece that has that extra stoutness of feature and burly bone, she's probably about as far out there as anything I've seen in this spotted division. Big, powerful, big back. Gilt coming next. A gilt that just gets a little bit rounder out of her hip structure, wants to maintain those rear legs up underneath her, like to flex her just a little bit as she goes away. Really nice class. Congratulations.
At this time, we're going to excuse the exhibitors from the auxiliary ring. If we would, let's put our hands together for them one last time. Results from our third class of spot gilts. In 10th place, Riley Langford, Graham FFA, gilt bred by Carl Kenton Sons of Pottsboro. 9th place goes to Wyatt Hale of Dallam, Hartley, County 4H, gilt bred by Cornerstone Ventures of Dalhart. 8th place exhibited by Kenley Clover of Littlefield FFA, Chance Waldrop of Dalhart on 7th place, driven by Lindsay Day of Comanche FFA. Breeder Logan Lloyd of Breckenridge. 6th place, Blake Mills, Center Point FFA. Breeder behind that, Gilt West Texas Genetics of Van Court. 5th place, Autumn Smith, Winkler County 4-H. Gilt bred by Levi Canales of Canyon. In 4th place, Riley DeBoard, Sunray FFA. Gilt bred by Cornerstone Ventures, Chance Waldrop of Dalhart. In 3rd place, Catherine Hard of Dallam 4-H. Gilt bred by Cornerstone Ventures. And in 2nd place, your exhibitor is Mariana Herrera from Plano East FFA. And our class winner, driven by Cayman Ivins, Moore County 4-H. For those ringside, if you would, let's give these exhibitors in the main ring a round of applause as we excuse them. At this time, we'd call for our class winners and second places from our first 3 classes of spots to come back up to the ring for the champion drive. First and second from our first three classes head back up to the ring. We need our second place out of Class 1. Second place out of Class 1 back up to the ring.
Again, we've got a lot of diversity and type and kind in this particular class, and really the gilt that I started with, I didn't find her to be like the special one that really reached out and grabbed you right off the bat. But this gilt's really pretty complete. A gilt that's got lots of three-dimensional look to her. She's a big, square-built female that's wide at the ground. She's wide up high. Love the rib shape and the extra softness that she has in the center part of her body. She's got that hip and hind leg that I really like. She's really level out there, and she can really flex and go. Has a good length of stride. I like to maybe extend her a little bit, maybe make her a little bit prettier up through her front end. But here's a gilt that's just, like I said, so three-dimensional, so balanced. I like her quite a lot. Young lady's gilt in second hole is certainly a longer bodied, longer fronted, more feminine female that's got a longer growth curve. I like the fact that she's a notch bigger in her kind. She's got a little bit more muscle shape than our class winner down over her loin edge, but this gilt isn't quite as stout featured. I don't think she's as big legged at the ground. She wants to be a little bit tentative off that rear too, but that's a real nice pair of females there at the top end. I thought this white gilt could have started the class here because she's extra massive and extra powerful. I mean, lots of rib shape, lots of body. She's a very thick-made female all the way through. I don't think she's quite as comfortable in her range of motion. She tends to be short-strided off her rear too. I don't find her to be as stout-featured at the ground in relation to all that body mass that she has in her upper skeleton. But here's one that has that big old brood sow potential to her. I think she's a very nice gilt. The gilt in fourth is one that's kind of hard to read, obviously, because she's not showing real well. But this gilt, I think, has a lot of quality. She reads with a lot of extension in front end. She's a stout skulled female that's got a big, powerful forearm to her. I like the range of motion that she offers. It's just unfortunate we couldn't get a better look on her because I really think there's a lot of balance and a lot of quality in that gilt in fourth. The gilt coming out here in fifth hole is one that I like extremely well from her hip forward. She's a stout-featured female. A lot of muscle shape working in her. I like to see her rear leg structure just a little bit more secure in this female. But this is a really nice class of gilts in this division.
This time we call Class 1 Yorkshire Gilts to the holding ring. Class 1 Yorkshire Gilts to the holding ring. Results out of our last class. In 10th place, Quinlan Taylor, Medina FFA, gilt bred by Jared and Carol Eusner of Fredericksburg. In 9th place, Gracie Key, Poolville FFA, breeder is R4 Genetics, Burke and Cammie Robinson of Putnam. In 8th place, Dagan Elrod, Craig County 4-H, bred by Woodward Farms of White Deer. 7th place goes to Casey Rolowitz of Paint Rock FFA. Breeder on that one, Harmon Farms of Perryton. In 6th place, Kai Vaughn of Petersburg FFA. Breeder on that one, Biggs Livestock of Plainview. 5th place goes to Kaylee Humphrey of Terry County 4-H. Gilt bred by Harmon Farms, Perryton. 4th place, Brian Acevedo of Littlefield FFA. Breeder on that gilt, Biggs Livestock, Plainview. In 3rd place, Owen Seidenberger of Glasscock County 4-H. Gilt bred by Wintex Farms of Idalou. Your 2nd place gilt driven by Kaylee Metcalf of Stratford FFA. And your class winner out here in the drive, exhibited by Cole Banks of Dallam County 4-H.
We've got a really good spotted show, and Chris and I really admire the four we've got out here to deal with for the class winners for champion. It's a real good set of females. I think it boils down to a couple of them for us, and really, do you like the big gilt that just won that last class? We talked to her in class about how square and three-dimensional she is. She's really square and massive about her blade. She's big and open down her top line. Got a great big loin edge in her. I love her hip and hind leg in her. I think that's a really good female. The other one we're going to consider is this young lady's gilt here. She's a really tall statured, good-looking female that's got a great range of motion. I love the flexibility, the agility that she offers. She's really got an awesome look up through her front end, really a feminine built female. Got a question in my mind, is she big enough at the top of her blade? Does she open up enough in the center part of her body mass? And I think those are the two things that I see in those two particular hogs. I'm going to go ahead and use the gilt from the last class for your champion.
Your champion spot gilt exhibited by Cole Banks of Dalham County 4-H, bred by Cornerstone Ventures, Chance Waldrop of Dalhart.
As we bring in our second place to our champion, this is another high-quality female. That was a very tough class. This gilt comes in and looks really good in this drive. Love the extension of front end, the stoutness of features. She's just a really nice, balanced female. I think it still kind of boils down between our second place winner and this gilt here to my right. They're both cut from the same cloth. I think they're both extended females that got great looks to them. I'm gonna go ahead and use the white-colored gilt here for reserve champion. She's really cool.
Your reserve champion spot gilt goes to Cayman Ivans of Moore County 4-H. Breeder on that gilt, Levi Canales. Recognizing our other exhibitors and breeders that were out here in contention out of Class 1, that first place gilt driven by Caleb Ferguson. The breeder on that one was Lance Horsford of Stratford. Second place gilt exhibited by Reagan Wagner. The breeder is Byers Farms, Todd and Mariah Byers of Abernathy. Out of Class 2, your class winner was Brock Edelman. The breeder on that gilt, Roy McCoy of Lubbock. Second place gilt was shown by Marty Wiseun of Wall FFA. Breeder on that one is the Wiseun brothers, Jacob, Marty, and Zach of Wall. Your second place gilt to the champion, they're out of Class 4, shown by Carly Metcalf. The breeder on that gilt, Wayne and Leslie Harmon of Perryton. And your second place gilt to the reserve champion, shown by Mariana Herrera. Breeder also Harmon Farms, Wayne and Leslie Harmon. We need our Class 1 Yorkshire gilts in the holding ring. Class 1 Yorkshire gilts need to be up in the holding ring. As a reminder, as we start our final breed for the evening, after the conclusion of the champion Yorkshire, we will select our overall purebred gilt and reserve this evening. At this time, we'll call Class 2 Yorkshire Gilts. Class 2 Yorkshire Gilts to the holding ring. At this time, we're going to excuse the Gilts from the auxiliary ring. If y'all would give them one last round of applause. It's been a long day, and they're still going strong. Class 2 Yorkshire Gilts to the holding ring. Class 2 Yorkshire Gilts. At this time, we'll call Class 3 Yorkshire Gilts to the holding ring.
As we start our day with the Yorkshire division, this is a really challenging class. We've got lots of good females here with a lot of differences in type and kind. I began the class with a young lady here. This gilt just really looks like a female. Great female extension up through her front end. She can drop that top line and really get out and float like she's supposed to. The hip and hind leg in these Yorkshires is so important. It's been one of my goals is keep these hogs get them sound and functional. And if you don't have a hip with Yorkshire with a hip and hind leg, I don't know if you have much of a hog. So I really like the fact that she can get out and go off her rear too. She's just a real comfortable female. Surely she could have a little bit more muscle shape in her, but she handles her legs so true and so correct. I love the feminine extension up through her front end. Young man's gilt here comes in second hole. I'll be honest with you, I was starting to put her up several times. I didn't think this gilt had enough center body, enough rib shape. I'd like to give her more expansion and drop that forerib in her. But at the same time, she's a youthful female. That should come with more maturity, and so I'm going to give her a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. We talk about one that's stout in her features, that starts with a real stout skull and has a big, powerful blade in her. I like that about this gilt a great deal. She really reaches and flexes up through her front end. Her front mechanism is so right in terms of how she got that angulation to her blade, and her knee set is just so functional. I just had to keep her up here in the top end. Certainly, we like to see her with more rib shape, but like I said, that should come with age. The little gilt coming out here in third hole is a beastly, big-centered female that's got that big round rib cage laying in her. She's a thick top female that's real three-dimensional all the way through. This gilt gets a little bit shorter in her stride. She gets a little bit shorter out of her hip structure. I like to fix that rear leg structure just ever so slightly, but here's one that's really balanced up and a three-dimensional gilt that's got a lot of Yorkshire high quality to her. The big gilt coming out here next, I like this gilt for her front two-thirds. She's really a tall-shouldered, good-looking female on the side. I think I was going to use her a little bit higher in the class, but she came undone on me a little bit as she struggles a little bit off the rear leg structure. She's a little shorter in her stride from behind, doesn't have the overall correctness off her rear too, but this is a gilt that's got a lot of look to her, a lot of muscle shape. I like her a great deal. The gilt coming out here in next hole is one that's really a good female in terms of toe spread and stoutness of feature. Love the massive skull that she has, big, fat, powerful forearm in this gilt. I'd like to maybe fix her in her length of stride out through her rear too. This is a really nice gilt in a real tough class of Yorkshire gilts.
Results out of our first class of Yorkshire Gilts in 10th place, shown by Derek Suarez of Florida FFA. Breeder on that gilt is Williams Livestock, Burt Williams of Canyon. 9th place goes to Madison Reinhardt of Doss 4-H. Gilt bred by Pure Insanity Genetics, Wesley Reinhardt of Fredericksburg. 8th place exhibited by Logan Webb of Ingram FFA. Breeder on that gilt is RB2 Show Pigs in Kerrville, Bobby Balser. 7th place exhibited by Mary Rumley of Dalhart FFA. Breeder on that gilt is Parker Brazillis of Dalhart. In 6th place, Holland of Tom Green 4-H. Breeder, Anjo Farms, Caston Wilde, Big Lake. In 5th place, Nicole Blankenship, Moody FFA. Breeder on that gilt, Real Hog Farm, Marion, Texas. 4th place shown by Eliza Cope of Mason 4-H. Gilt bred by West Texas Genetics of Van Court. In 3rd place, Seidenberger of Glasscock 4-H. Gilt bred by Meyer Show Pigs of Harper. In your 2nd place gilt was shown by Connor Pence of Tom Green County 4-H, while your class winner is driven by Alexandra Ely of Comfort FFA. At this time, we are excusing our Class 2 from the auxiliary ring. If we would, let's give them a nice round of applause. We need Class 3 Yorkshire Gilts to the holding ring. Class 3 Yorkshires. At this time, we're going to excuse the exhibitors from the main ring. If we would, let's put our hands together for these youngsters. Again, as a reminder, here probably in around 20-30 minutes as we conclude with our Yorkshires, we will select the overall purebred champion and reserve champion gilt this evening.
Another one of those classes that offers a lot of depth of quality. These three females are really, really competitive, and all three of them are extremely good. I chose to lead off with the young lady in the middle there. I think she's the most comfortable female that maintains the squareness at the ground, the best of all three. Just love how fresh she is. She's got a real big round rib cage laid in her. She's got plenty of muscle for a Yorkshire. She looks like a female. I love the fact that she's a good balanced female that's real proportional, real three-dimensional, and most importantly, she hits the surface the squarest off both ends of her skeleton of the top three. Young man's gilt here has got a little more extension than our class winner. She's certainly longer in her neck. She's a longer hip female that maybe reaches a little bit better off her hind tooth than our class winner does. But this gilt of the top three, I think she narrows up the most up through her front end. I don't see the big round rib cage in her that we have in our class winner. She does have the best hind leg structure, but I'd certainly like to just stouten her up a little bit, right at her skull, and give her a little more center body rib. But that's a real good one here, sitting in second hole. The big, powerful beast of the group is young lady coming in third. Just a real stout featured female. She's the beastly one that's got a big, massive rib laid in her. She's got the most product of muscle down her top line. She's a thick-ended gilt from end to end, but a gilt that just doesn't have the overall flexibility that we find especially in the second place winner. But that's a nice gilt to set here in third hole. I think a very, very outstanding trio of gilts. Gilt coming here fourth just kind of lands there by default. Here's a gilt that gets out in strides, extremely good off her front end. She gets a little bit softer up in her pastern, but that's not an issue in terms of how she can flex and go. I'd like to maybe strengthen her right there in her top line, give her fix that ham-loin juncture in her just a little bit. These next gilts come out just a little bit tighter made, tighter spine gilts. They don't have the overall flexibility of the ones we find ahead of them, but this is a real nice class.
Guys, why don't y'all drive y'all's hogs down there? We'll put them in a pen, okay? At this time, we'll excuse our final class from the auxiliary ring, and I ask that you put your hands together for these exhibitors. Results out of Class 2 Yorkshires. In 10th place, the Jonathan Hendricks of Dublin FFA, that gilt bred by Mike Fisher of Iowa Park. In 9th place, Sinead Walker of Dalhart FFA, gilt bred by Cornerstone Ventures of Dalhart. 8th place, driven by Allie Toll of Wichita, also bred by Allie Toll. 7th place, exhibited by Sterling Skinner from Hale County 4-H. Breeder on that gilt, Devin Blanton Show Pigs of Ransom Canyon. 6th place goes to Lauren Long of Idalou FFA, gilt bred by Devin Blanton Show Pigs of Ransom Canyon. In 5th place, Sonera Ice of Hamlin FFA, Gilt, also bred by Devin Blanton Show Pigs of Ransom Canyon. Fourth place goes to Gerald Mitchell of Pleasanton FFA. Breeder behind that, Gilt Fishbacher Show Pigs of Will Dorado. Third place, Avery Young, Sherman FFA. Gilt bred by Calhoun Show Pigs, Sherman, Texas. Your second place, Gilt, was driven by Jackson Reed of Potter County 4-H. And your class winner goes to Michaela Lowerwald of Florence FFA. At this time, we're going to excuse the exhibitors from the main ring. We'll put our hands together one last time as they exit and head on back to their pins. Also at this time, we'd like to bring back our first and second place gilts from classes 1 and 2 on the Yorkshires. First and second place gilts, head on back up to the ring. Again, we need our first and second place gilts from classes 1 and 2 on the Yorkshires. First and second place gilts from our first 2 Yorkshire gilt classes.
As we here in our final class of Yorkshire gilts, we've got a nice pair of gilts to start with. Young lady in the center of the ring's got the class winner. I think here's the one that she's a little more secure, especially off her rear 2 leg structure there. She's a truer at her hock. She's got more flexibility at her pastern set. Plus, she's a longer body gilt that just gives you more of a Yorkshire brood sow potential look to her. She's a longer neck gilt that's got a really nice set to her, flexible spine in her. I'd like to see her a little bit stouter in her features, and I'd like to maybe strengthen her pasterns up just a fraction, but that's a really nice Yorkshire gilt to lead off with. Young lady in second hole certainly got one that's a little showier in terms of height of shoulder and extension up through her front end. A gilt that balances up extremely well. I think she's a little bit brittle and a little bit more upright in her rear pastern set. I'd like to give her more set and flex to that rear too. Plus, I'd like to see her a little bit heavier muscled as she tracks away, but that's a really nice balanced female here in second hole. The breeding piece of the group here is here in third hole. If you can stay, if you got to decide what you want to do with her front pastern. But here's the big brood sow Yorkshire appearing female of the drive. Really stout about her skull. She got a big old powerful rib in her. This gilt just looks like a big Yorkshire brood sow. I'd like to strengthen her pastern and give her more flexibility up through her front end. Young lady coming out here in fourth hole's got one that reaches and floats pretty nice. Good range of motion up through her front end. This gilt doesn't have the stoutness of feature of the top end, but a really nice class of Yorkshire gilts to round out today.
Results out of, actually, let's start bringing our champion and reserve champion gilts out of our breeds today. Let's bring our champ and reserves back up to the holding pens. Your Class 3 results: in 8th place, exhibited by Kayla Morgan of Medina FFA, gilt bred by L&J Stock Farms, Lance Allerkamp and family out of Comfort. In 7th place, Allison Hollenbeck of Abilene Wiley FFA, bred by Josh Crone, DL Show Pigs of Lamesa. In 6th place, Larissa Hampton of Gorman FFA, breeder on that gilt, Merriman Show Pigs of Clyde. 5th place goes to Bailey Brooke Pugh of Levelland FFA, gilt bred by Methvin Hog Farm of Levelland. In 4th place, Annie Shocker of Dalhart, gilt bred by Cornerstone Ventures. In 3rd place, Ben Montoya of Lipan FFA, gilt bred by Blazin' Sevens Farms, Brad Massey of Mineral Wells. Our 2nd place gilt was driven by Danny Hilton of Florence FFA, and your class winner out in the ring, exhibited by Sage Lovelace of Plains FFA. Again, let's bring our champion and reserves from the breeds today up to the holding ring.
In our selection for our final breed of the day, these Yorkshire gilts are really nice. These 3 class winners are extremely nice females. Although Chris and I think it kind of boils down to one that just really balanced up. She's got that extra dimension. She's a high quality female. Just got some stoutness of features, big old rib laid in her, a lot of quality. Gilt from Class 2 is your champion.
Your champion, Yorkshire Gilt, exhibited by Michaela Lowerwald of Florence FFA, breeder on the gilt, Cornerstone Ventures, Chance Waldrop of Dalhart.
Again, we've got a really nice trio of females to select from for reserve champion. You know, we talked in class how that Class 2 had 3 really strong females in the class, and I still believe that. The other gilt that suits us real well, reserve champions of Yorkshire Gilt out of Class 2.
Your reserve champion, Yorkshire Gilt, exhibited by Jackson Reed of Potter County 4-H. Breeder on that is Fishbacher Show Pigs of Wildorado. Our other gilts in contention to recognize them and the breeders out of Class 1, we had Alexandra Ely of Comfort FFA, that gilt bred by CC Show Pigs of Sisterdale. 2nd place was Connor Pence, the breeder on that gilt, Munn Livestock of Wall. Out of Class 3, The class winner, driven by Sage Lovelace, was bred by DL Show Pigs, Josh Crone of La Mesa. And the second place Gilt, shown by Danny Hilton, bred by Corey Raines of Roscoe. Out here showing for our champion overall purebred Gilt, we have our Berkshire exhibited by Derek Hoffman of Glasscock County 4-H. Coming out next is our champion Chester, driven by Tyler Miller of Sunray FFA. The champion Duroc was exhibited by Landry Nance of Valley View FFA. Rolling out next is our champion Hampshire, driven by Sage Lovelace of Plains FFA. Our champion land race exhibited by Logan Webb, Ingram FFA. Our champion spot gilt exhibited by Cole Banks, Dallam County 4-H. Oh. Champion Poland, Kendall Lyle, Paradise FFA. Our champion spot now exhibited by Cole Banks, Dallam County 4-H. And out of our final breed of the day, the Yorkshire champion, driven by Michaela Lorwald, Florence FFA. As our judges take a second to evaluate this lineup here that we've got, we recognize our reserve champions. In our Berkshires, we had that gilt exhibited by Zachary Eisenberg of Lone Oak FFA. Our reserve champion, Chester White female, driven by Malia Harper of Lamb County 4-H. Your reserve champion, Duroc, Jillian Jones of Lipscomb County 4-H. The reserve out of the Hampshire division, shown by Kinley Clover of Littlefield FFA. Your reserve champion land race was shown by Tyler Miller of Sunray FFA. Reserve champion Poland, driven by Cameron Collard, Paint Rock FFA. Your reserve champion spot gilt, exhibited by Cayman Ivans of Moore County 4-H. And your reserve champion Yorkshire was just shown by Jackson Reed of Potter County 4-H. If y'all would, we put our hands together for all of our exhibitors that we've had today in our Purebred show. One reminder for those showing crossbreds, those weight classes are posted. The crosses are posted tomorrow back here on the wall behind the announcer stand. If you would, take a look at those. We want to make sure they're right. If there's any discrepancies, we need to get with the livestock office as soon as possible.
It's been a really fun evening here judging your purebreds, your purebred gilts. Excellent set of exhibitors, bunch of tremendous set of females out here. So let's thank them for doing a good job. We lost some of our crowd, but this is a tremendous set of females out here in our champion drive. I mean, we could go lots of different ways out here and really tie into some tremendous females. I was just rattling off, the five that I like the best. Well, there's, that's the majority of these that I think those five are truly in contention out here and represent their breed extremely well. There's a couple out here that I think it kind of sorts down to, and the one that hit me the hardest in the breed division, still hits me the hardest out here. It's just in terms of just overall comfort, symmetry, balance, put everything in one package. The Duroc is your champion gilt. Congratulations.
Your overall champion purebred gilt at this year's CTBR Stars of Texas Gilt Show goes to Landry Nance of Valley View FFA. Breeder on the gilt, Harmon Farms, Wayne and Leslie Harmon of Perryton.
Here again, we've got a tremendous set to deal with. The Duroc came in there, and she looks extremely good. And I was telling Chris, you know, as far as the day goes, the red ones, as far as just 1-2 quality, I thought they were the best pair of the show in terms of within each breed. I really like this Duroc Gilt. I like the Chester Gilt on the far side. She looks like a sow. Love the spotted Gilt. She's so dimensional, three-dimensional. Lots of power in that Gilt. The Berkshire's the other one that really hits on us. I mean, big, powerful, beastly female. The Berkshire's going to be a reserve champion in this division.
And your reserve overall purebred Gilt goes to the Berkshire, exhibited by Derek Hoffman of Glasscock County 4-H, breeder Biggs Livestock, Brandon and Ethan Biggs of Plainview.